Pull itself up. Here we go. Well, hello and welcome. Hey guys, I've got Mr. Jeff Morrell, a good buddy of mine up in Colorado Springs. Been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. Out of, I think it was 4,000 agents, he rose to the top 20 very, very quickly. Has an incredible story. We'll get into all the details in a minute. Looking forward to all of it. We'll be right back with you here in just 30 seconds.
Oh, I like that.
How was that for fun?
That was good. I like it.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
and you and I obviously go back about 10 years, man. It's been a fun little journey. And now all of a sudden we got connected in real estate. But I appreciate you doing this for me and for all those that might be watching. Jeff has been a great buddy of mine. He and his wife, Lane, got a great family. He's a great family man, great businessman. And just look forward to getting into a conversation with him about real estate and kind of what his journey has been like up to this point, and hopefully can add some value to everybody out there. So, man, tell me a little bit about what's kind of going on up there in Colorado Springs with you.
Yeah. I mean, we're busy. The market's shifting, but we've done this a long time, so the good agents, you adjust, the market shifts, you shift, the message to market match, your advertising, your marketing and stuff. You can't keep doing the same things you were doing 3 months ago, and that's not going to work today. You got to adjust as you go. And, sadly, we'll see a lot of agents, probably get out of the business over the next, 6 months, year. I don't know how long is this going to go on, but the market's not tanking by any means. I mean, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I know we did a big, Zoom meeting yesterday we had 50, 60 people on there, and trying to get that message out, make sure the realtors understand that. Like, just, a lot of headlines out there, but dig in, do your research, do your homework, because don't just buy the headlines. The public buys the headlines, but now it's our job to go out and educate our clients, prospects, that kind of stuff on what's really going on. I mean, we're definitely seeing things shift a little bit, but we're still super busy. I mean, there's still not enough homes to sell. There's still more demand for buyers.
You guys have been, very successful. Why don't you take us back for everybody just to understand a little bit about your background? You got started 20 years ago. So tell us a little bit about what that was like, because I'm sure there'll be new agents checking this out also, and maybe a little bit about your journey and how you got up to the point you're at now.
Sure. My wife and I, we moved to Colorado. I'm in Colorado Springs. I think you mentioned that. We moved here back in, December of 99. And I started working actually with my father-in-law. That's the reason we moved here. We wanted to get I've got 2 daughters. They were 4 and 1 when we made the move, and wanted to get our kids closer to family, grandparents. It was either going to be Indiana, where I'm from, or Colorado. And we'd come here to visit a few times, loved it here. And it's definitely been a great place to raise a family. So we got here. I started working with my father-in-law in real estate development. And, he wanted to travel more. He's a great photographer. And he's like, look, this cell phone strapped to my hip, I'd love to give it to you and teach you what I'm doing, and I can travel more. And I'm like, we'll put you on a salary. I'm like, sounds good. So we did that. And then 9/11 hit, and all of his projects just came to a screeching halt. There was just nothing going on. And so he never said anything, but he just continued to pay me because I'm his son-in-law. And I knew that, and I felt that, and I hated that. Yeah. So ended up going to get my license, started up January 2002, doing residential sales. Okay. And at the beginning, I remember when I met with my first broker, it was in December. I remember before, I'm getting ready to start with him in January, and good friend of mine, him and his wife, we knew them very well. And, he had talked me into it. He said, hey, you'd be great. You should get your license, whatever. So I didn't interview anywhere. I just went to work with Miguel. He had his own brokerage. He'd been doing this 25 years out of New York. And I remember, sitting down with him at a Starbucks. And so, what's your biggest concern about, going into real estate? I'm like, I'm just like, man, 100% commission. Like I was just like,
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
just, and then because my wife, I wanted her to be home with the kids. And I'm just like, oh man, like this is scary. And he said, well, we got to change your mindset on commission. He's like, do you want to be told how much you're worth, per hour, or do you want to determine what you're worth?
Yeah.
Because in real estate, you're going to determine what you're worth. The more value you give to people, the more people you talk to, the more deals you're going to get. And so I just learned it's a numbers game, and that's what this is. Yeah, one of the things, my first deal, I remember I picked it up. I was in a Starbucks. I had been in our office. I started up and I went down to Miguel's office, and it was a house that he had bought, and it's downtown Colorado Springs. He set it up, converted it into an office. Well, there's no sign out front. There's nothing. Like I learned very quickly, like nobody's going to come walking in here. Hey, where's Jeff the realtor? I'm looking for Jeff the realtor to help me sell my house.
Yep.
Never going to happen, So after about a week or two of being in there, I'm like, I've got to get out of this office. So all the stuff I was doing in the office, emails, phone calls, working on build my website, just different things. I knew I could do that really from anywhere. And so I took my laptop and I sat up at Starbucks, and I was there every day, for 8-10 hours a day. And I just started getting very good at getting around and meeting people and talking to people. I'd work for an hour, I'm doing my thing, whatever, but you'd overhear conversations, Here's the two moms with their two kids. And, oh my God, if we don't get a bigger place, I'm going to kill my husband. You'd hear these kind of conversations going. So I would, hey, not trying to eavesdrop, but here, let me give you some of my cards. I'm a real estate agent here in town. If I can help you guys, or if you know anybody looking to buy or sell a house, and, would love to, get the business, whatever. And, it'd lead to these conversations. And I picked up my first deal that way. It was a military couple. They were getting ready to get transferred to Utah. And I remember I went over and met them and got their house on the market, Great. That was my first deal, but it came from total like cold contact, but it was just me getting out there, meeting people. And I just, every hour or so I get up out, take a little break from my laptop, and I just start talking to people,
Love it. And I know you've told me before, you came out of the gate pretty quickly. And the main reason was coaching and so forth. Talk a little bit about what you might even educate agents getting into the business, why it's so important for either a mentor, coaching, or training of some kind.
For sure. Well, yeah, I learned a long time ago, you become who you hang around, and so I wanted to get around the right people. Again, my first broker, Miguel was great. He helped me a ton, but, very old school. His idea of getting leads was, okay, let's pull out the white pages. And back in the day when we had white pages, and, you start in A, I'll start in Z, we'll meet in the middle. And it was just like, we're just going to be cold calling. And, hey, are you guys looking to sell? It's like, click, get out of here. How'd you get my number? Hank, what else?
It was this industry. What the heck?
Oh my gosh. Knocking on doors. I was never a door knocker. People do that. That's fine. But I wanted to get a website. I bought a website as part of Craig Proctor's program. Craig at the time was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world. And so he had a seminar. It was coming up in Phoenix. It was in June 2002. So 6 months after I got my license. And so I paid a couple $1,000 to go to his seminar. Well, then I'm there for 3 days, couple thousand agents from all over the country, and literally some of the top agents in the business. He's got mega agents, mega teams, $1 million, $2 million in commission. And I'm around these guys. I just, like I said, you become who you hang around. I knew that. So I put 14 grand on a credit card, and I joined his coaching program. And, figured it was one of those things, better, what is it? Better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
Did not tell my wife. Oh man, I didn't tell my wife for 6 months. Like, she's going to kill me. And, but it worked in a big way. And, I ended up doing 32 deals my first year, and about 25, 26 of those came because of that program and what I was learning in that, And so, again, you're around these top agents, so that was a huge thing for me. I was part of that thing for 9 years. And so it ended up leading to where my wife, ended up getting her license. My third year, I did 72 deals by myself, no assistant, and it about killed me. And so, she got her license. She was already helping me a ton. And, she was, doing another job on the side, a little bit part-time, but helping me with the real estate. So she got licensed, and then we just kind of took off from there, so yeah, it's been really good, but that coaching was huge. And I would tell anybody on here, new agent, make sure you get around the right people.
Yeah,
you got to get good training. You need good mentoring. You need good coaches. You need plug in. Now there's a lot of things you can do online, but for me, it was that accountability that helped, I had a call every Friday with my personal coach.
Yep.
And I would have a list of things that I had to get done each week. And if I didn't get those done, I mean, he'd get on me, and I learned that very quickly. And so it was about phone calls and marketing and just different things. And how many people have I talked to? How many emails have I sent? I had to track everything. And by doing that, I'm telling you, just that paid off for me in a huge way.
So he was there to kind of help hold you accountable. So let's go a little further into the journey, right? So from that right there, because I know you eventually evolved where you started to build a team. Let's talk a little bit about, you were a solo agent to begin with. What was the reason to lead into a team? Did you end up going to a different brokerage to make that happen? A little bit further into that story.
Yeah. So my third year in, like I said, we did 72 deals. I ended up moving to Keller Williams. Went over there. My wife and I, we left the independent brokerage where we were at. We joined Keller Williams and we hired an assistant. That was the first thing we did. And that was huge, and I would tell people, there's a lot that an assistant can do. I would, anything that you're doing that, eventually as you get building the business, you kind of, I try and teach people, like, figure out how much you're worth per hour. So let's say you had, let's say you're having, 3 closings a month, and those closings are paying you, whatever, over, I don't know, they're paying you $30,000 a month, and you're working this many hours a week. Divide that out. You can figure out your hourly wage, essentially what you're making. Now, if I'm taking 2 hours and I'm stuffing envelopes or putting stamps on postcards that I'm sending out, is that worth, $300 an hour? Absolutely not. Sorry, my dog's barking out here. So no, that's not worth that. So I could hire somebody to do that and pay them $12, $15 an hour. And so at some point you're going to need an assistant, get an assistant. And that can be good to do. Sorry. Geez.
That's all right. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. So, but anyway, we hired an assistant and then we started building a team. I wanted to leverage myself, and there's plus and minuses in that. I mean, again, like, one of the things that happened for me, we built a team. We had 5 or 6 agents working with us, and we had the number 1 Keller Williams team here in Colorado Springs for several years that we were there, and did very well with that. And I'm grateful for it. I had my team for 13 years. I will tell you, it didn't leverage me as much as I wanted it to. There were a lot of headaches with that to some degree. I mean, I felt so responsible for them. When 2008 hit, the recession hits, and all of a sudden we went from 15, 18 closings a month as a team to 1 and 2. And I've still got 5 agents on my team, and they're scrambling trying to figure out deals. I've got a single mom, who was a great agent, and she hadn't had a closing in 3 months. I'm not sleeping at night.
You're still paying for all your systems. You're still
paying. None of those bills go away.
Still the same. Yeah.
No, my website bill doesn't go away. My monthly bill with our MLS doesn't go away. But there's certain bills that are going to be there no matter whether you have a closing or not. For me, it's about $14,000 a month, in overhead for my team at that point. I had 2 people on payroll, an inside sales guy and my assistant. And, I eventually had to let him go. I mean, I was paying him out of my savings and everything else. There was not enough closings to make it work. And for me as a team leader, my marketing budget went up. I'm scrambling. I'm putting out everything I can to try and find a deal somewhere. Now, again, a whole different market than what we're in right now, but It was still, it was 2008, and that was brutal. And the agents that are on here that have been around, they know that. I mean, they got through that, whatever. That was a tough time, so I wasn't as leveraged as I wanted to be, put it that way. It did not give me the freedom that I was looking for. I will tell you that. That's why I really started. I wanted to pull back, and I wasn't able to pull back.
And so you get through the 08, 9, 10, whatever. Do you end up staying there, continue to build back up and bring a team back on board? And how does it transpire?
I had my team the whole time. I never did go back to an assistant. We were totally kind of restructuring things as we got through that. 2010, 2011 were big years for me. But we weren't doing as many mailings. There was a lot of things we weren't doing. I just didn't need, I ended up letting my assistant go. Okay. And that may or may, I probably at some point, definitely could have hired another assistant, and I probably should have done that. I didn't. 2010, I left Keller Williams, went back to an independent company. Just No issues with Keller Williams. They're a great company. I've never nothing bad to say about Keller Williams. I left there because I wasn't using anything that they offered. I had all my own websites, tools, systems, everything, for the whole time I was there. And I think, I was kind of like, why am I paying $21,000 a year? And I think there's I think that's something that agents need to look at right now. I mean, I don't know what this is looking like. I don't know where this is going, but in fact, I had a call on Monday, 2 days ago, from an agent down in Pueblo. She's a big agent down there. She's probably in the top 10 in Pueblo, which is a small town about, I don't know, 30 minutes south of us here in Colorado Springs. Okay. She's in the top 10 down there in her market. And she called me up, and we've talked before, but she said, hey, I want to take a fresh look at EXP. She said, I don't know where this market is going. We've definitely seen a slowdown in our business, and I do think it's time to really start looking at where our money is going and what we're getting for our money, and I think I think all agents need to look at that sometimes. It's really easy to start, next thing you know, you're spending money everywhere. I think you got to look at this sometimes. What am I getting for my money? I mean, what kind of value am I getting? Do I get leads? Do I get a website? Do I get coaching, mentoring, training? Exactly. What's the collaboration like? What do I get for my money? Don't just blindly spend it because you've been there for 20 years. Okay, I get it. But what are you getting back for that? Is it worth what you're giving them? And I'm not saying it's not, but you need to evaluate that at times, especially when we're going into this kind of market right here. Yeah. Because what is this going to look like? I don't know,
Yeah. So do you, speaking to that, so let's maybe talk a little bit about today's market. So for those that might be checking this out right now, you've been doing this a long time. You went through the ups and downs, went through the 08, 09. And I know when I reached out to you about 4 years ago to take a look at this model, and you, like a lot of us, are just, thank God, you're just open-minded, willing to take a look. I'll never forget. I remember you saying, you know what, Sean, I'll take a look for you and kind of break it down, but I'm not going anywhere. I love what I'm doing. You weren't having to pay any fees, right? At that time, you were on a transaction fee only.
It was $50 a month where I was. And I was at HomeSmart. I'll just tell you, it was at HomeSmart. It was where I was at, it was $50 a month, and it was like $300 transaction fee per deal. So I was there for 7 years. It was way better than what I was paying at Keller Williams, whatever. Yeah. And you don't get a whole lot there, at least at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but I didn't need a lot. I had all my own stuff going, and it was fine. My team was there with me. We were there for 7 years. So basically 100% company, for the, that's how I like to look at it, so still cost me $9-10 grand a year to be there with what I was doing. But anyway, yeah.
So if somebody's watching this right now today, maybe they're wherever they might be at, what advice could you give them going into today's market? Not to make this a complete training video on necessarily giving people exactly what to do, but big picture wise, what are some things that agents should be looking for from their broker, trying to prepare for this change that we got coming down the pipeline in this market?
Sure. Again, I think you educate yourself, dig in to there's a lot of good resources out there. I mean, realtor.com, there's a lot of good tools out there in terms of getting good, solid information, real trends, Inman News, different things like, and study this stuff. Don't just read the headlines and buy into it. There's a lot of panic out there right now. You scroll through Facebook, and I'm seeing realtors oh my God, whatever. They're in panic mode, whatever. And again, I think, here's the thing, for the last 3 years, we really haven't, this market, it's been a weird market. This is not the norm, what we've experienced the last 3 years. We're kind of going back to what I think is more normal.
Yeah.
When I got in the business, I mean, we were super busy. We did a lot of deals, but the average days in the market was 30, 40, 50 days. There was nothing unusual about that. And, right now people are, 18 days on the market. Oh my God, stop. Like, no. Like get perspective on all this, it's shifting and it's different, but we need to get the right information so we can have the right conversations with the prospects, with the sellers, with the buyers, sellers right now that are, buyers right now that are looking like, well, I'm going to hold off because, the market's going to crash. I'm going to wait till the prices come down. There's nothing out there right now forecasting that. Exactly. Nothing. You look at Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, National Association of Realtors, you look at all these different people, independent from each other, and you look at all the numbers right now, they're all forecasting an average of a 9% increase in prices, in home prices in 2022.
Okay.
So I mean, again, it's like, you got to arm yourself with this information so you can have intelligent conversations with these people, with your prospects. And so there's a lot of resources out there to get that. I do think, get plugged in with a good group of people. I mean, what we did yesterday was awesome. And I'll put it out there. If anybody wants a recording of that, we got it. I mean, we're doing it again next Tuesday. We do it every Tuesday. We meet with our groups and we have a big Zoom that we do. It's open to all agents, all companies. And, there's a lot of good info shared on there yesterday.
No doubt.
Ways to just educate yourself and arm yourself so you can have an intelligent conversation with the buyers and sellers, prospects, different things, to just educate them on what's going on with the market. Now, at the end of it all, it's up to them what they do with that, whatever. But I think, if we just have the right info, there's still people, there will always be people having to move.
Yeah.
There's always job situations, job transfers, military transfers, death in the family. Just different things are going to happen, where people will need to be. Selling homes is going to happen regardless. Now, I do think the people that were like, they were thinking a year ago that this year we just want to live on that other side of town because it's just so much nicer over there. We just, they might move, but they might sit back right now and just kind of wait and see where it goes. Do I want to trade out my, 2.5% interest rate for a 6% rate? They might not want to do that right now. I get it. So they, there's going to be some people pull back, but there's still going to be a lot of people moving. And with the right info, you can educate your clients to help them make the right move for them, Yeah,
that makes sense. So let's now just kind of keep this brief. I reached out to you about 4 years ago because I had just got my license 5 years ago.
Thank you, by the way.
So 5 years
my
ago,
goodness.
I just got into the real estate market, and obviously I ended up joining EXP, not to go into my whole story, but I'd interviewed with about a half a dozen brokers and just saw the model and was pretty blown away at what everything it had to offer, the value, like you said, being able to kind of rub shoulders and get coaching and mentoring from some of the best of the best that had already joined. But I reached out to you 4 years ago, and I know you've always told me you're open-minded, but what was it once you took a look at this? What was the big thing that really stood out to you that when you made you leave a transaction fee only to come back over to an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I was blown away. I mean, I assumed, because again, being in the business at that point, 16 years, 20 years now, 16 years in the business, when you showed me this 4 years ago, and, again, I've always been open to looking at things. So, I saw Keller Williams and I went there and I interviewed different places. And if somebody would call me, I'd go sit with them, meet them for coffee and look at the model. There's not been that many changes in the model for years. When people make a move, there's really 4 reasons why most people move. What are the splits? 70-30, 80-20, 95-5, whatever, 100% company, whatever. What's the cap on that if there is one? Some places don't have one. What's the monthly bill? And then what do I get for all that?
Yeah.
So everybody out there, this is what all the talk is. You go interview here and they tell you this and this, this one's a little bit better. And so I end up moving over there. And here's why people move. So I just assumed that that's what this was going to be. And having been at the big companies, not interested, been there, done that, it's going to cost me a fortune. I just don't want to do it, And then I looked at this. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, this is nothing like what I thought it was going to be. This is a whole different model. And people don't realize that. There's a lot of just speculation out there. I would tell anybody that's out there looking at this, like, if you haven't seen the model, look at the model. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family to at least look at the model. Now, it may or may not be for you, but you don't know what you don't know. And so I've always been open to looking, thank God. I mean, because that open mind has led to some great things. I've said no to tons of stuff, but I've never been afraid to look. It never hurts to look. I looked at this and I was blown away. And I was at a 100% company, quote unquote, still 9-10 grand a year to be there. Over here, I saw a way to get over 100%. And I'd never seen that before. And that doesn't make sense to somebody who hasn't seen this model.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll call a broker who went independent and started their own brokerage because they got tired of paying, $20,000 a year to a brokerage or whatever. They wanted to start their own thing and they're at 100% now, whatever. And I'll say, hey, well, if I could show you a way to get over 100%, well, that's impossible. No, I mean, you just need to look at this. No, that's impossible. No, just open yourself up to just look at it. There's a reason why 1,000 agents a week are making the move to
Yeah.
EXP, and lots of different reasons. But one of the reasons is, for a lot of us, there's a way, several ways, that you can actually get all your money back that you give to the company plus some. Like I've been paid to be here for the last 4 years, and I didn't think that existed in this business.
And that's hard for some people to comprehend. And so let's
Doesn't make
talk
any
for
sense.
just a minute.
Well, the company can't stay in business if they do that. That's
Exactly.
impossible.
So
No
right
way,
before
figured
this,
it out.
right before we started this interview today, you and I were talking for a few minutes, and you've got a gentleman you're trying to talk to right now, and he happened to have a Facebook post. He was on vacation, yet he was talking about he wasn't on vacation. And yeah, so let's for
I want
just
to pull
a
this
minute,
up.
yeah, there's some.
Can I pull this up real fast? Because seriously,
Yeah,
I saw
please.
this, and I mean, I can totally relate to this. I mean, I'm not down on this. I mean, again, he's a great guy. He's a strong business guy. Tons of respect. In the real estate business.
So let me while you're leading into that, so let me say this. A lot of us, and every time I talk to agents, why they got into real estate, and they'll usually say it was for to potentially make more money and the freedom.
Yeah.
And the freedom is the one that's that gray area that a lot of times you don't realize what that could mean or not mean until you've been in the business for a while. You start to do a certain number of deals. So speak to that about what life was like prior to getting into EXP, and then how that's now changed, where you've now been able to buy your time back and so forth. To touch for just a couple minutes that as we wrap things up.
Well, so back in the day, and again, I was super busy. So I want to read this post.
Okay.
Let me read this post, because I can relate to this. And here's the thing. I know there's a lot of agents that are going to listen to this, and they'll connect with this right here, this post.
Okay.
Here's what this guy said. He's on vacation right now. Okay. And he said this: the disappointment on my daughter's face every time I tell her I have to go back to the house to do work is excruciating. Owning a business is tough. When my staff go on vacation, they go on vacation. When I'm on vacation, I'm still working. Rant over. I read that post seriously. I mean, honestly, I get it. I've been there. Like, that's such a hard place to be, and then I start reading some of the comments on here, and let me read a couple of these comments, okay? Because he's had 89 comments on this post. Let's see. I know I'm not as busy as you are, or as busy as I want to be, but I do relate to this a lot. Every time I say I got to work, my boy asks if I have to go sell houses. LOL. Oh, how I fully understand this. It's difficult having to always work. I don't have holidays or weekends. Vacation. What's a vacation? Here's somebody. Here's what's going on. I mean, this is what it's like to be in real estate for most agents. And I've been there. I was there. I tell the story all the time. Disney World, taking our kids, they were 10 and 8, 4 days out of a 10-day vacation, 4 days I'm in the hotel doing real estate. And I hated that. Because, and here's my thing, when my kids need me when I'm there, and I finally realized that, thank God. But here's the thing I tell everybody: if you don't do something to change that, nothing's going to change that. If he doesn't figure that out 5 years from now, he's still going to be putting posts on there just like that. You've got to do something different to get something different, And so for me, I finally figured that out. But again, when you showed me this 4 years ago, this is what makes me passionate about EXP and about showing people, because with multiple streams of income for what you're going to be doing anyway, you could eventually pull back. If he would be open to looking at this and possibly making a switch like this, with what he's done and his reputation in this business, I'm just telling you, within a year, he could be on vacation and turn his phone off for a month, and his business won't skip a beat. And that's possible in this model. And people don't understand that if they haven't taken a look at it.
Yeah.
So I just tell people, just look. I was on yesterday with a guy. He's got a 6-year-old daughter. And I read him that post, and I said, look, I've been there, done that. I'm just telling you, he's been in 3 years in the business. So he's still excited. He's building it and all that kind of stuff. It's great, whatever. But I'm just telling you, it's going to get to a point where you've got to look at that. Do I want to be able to go on vacation and really be on vacation and be present with my family?
Yeah, that's
or
key.
do I want to experience that? Because again, it's not going to work by doing just the traditional real estate model. in the traditional business. You can't do it that way.
Yeah, and not to get real personal, but may I ask you, I know several years back you had a big health challenge.
Yeah,
And I've heard you speak to that before. Will you take just a minute and kind of tell
for
some
sure.
folks, yeah,
Yeah.
what happened there?
Yeah, no, it was 6 or 7 years ago. I forget now. I have to look at the dates, but I went in just for an annual checkup, and these numbers don't look right. We got to send you to a specialist, whatever. So I go into the specialist, and we hate to tell you, but you've got prostate cancer. And I remember, when I first heard that, of course, that's not the thing you want to hear ever. And we caught it early. Thank God, grateful for that. But for about 6 months, my wife and I, we had no closings on purpose because we could afford not to. We had another business that was paying us at the time, and that between that business and rental properties, I mean, our bills were covered. That was going to be a little tighter, but
Sure.
we didn't have to stress finances. Most agents, you're deal to deal, check to check. You're about 3 months away from being out of business. And that's where the panic comes in when we start hearing the market shift and all this kind of stuff. They're not ready for it. And my thing is, I'd rather have a backup plan and not need it than need it and not have it. And I just think,
Well said.
fortunately we had that ready. So we were able to pull back, and I could focus on healing. I could focus in on my family. I could focus in on, getting through that health wise, focus in on my marriage, we could put our focus where it needed to be, without having to chase the next deal and all this other stuff out here on the side to keep, the doors open, whatever, and to keep a roof over our heads and keep food on the table. We didn't have to stress on that. And most people don't understand the power of having that passive income like that.
Yeah.
And the thing I try and I preach it to people is like, look, life happens. It's going to happen somehow, some way. It's going to happen, whether it's in the market, whether it's, a health issue, hopefully not. For some, it will be, whether it's a car accident, whether it's a family issue, whatever. Life happens to everybody. And most of it's out of our control. But what you can control is getting ready for something like that.
Yeah.
And so I preach that message all the time.
Yeah, that is awesome. And praise God. Like you said, you got through all that and caught it early. So if we wrapped up and one last question here, for anybody that's taking a look at this right now, if you were to summarize, you've been here now for 4 years. What has this business, after doing this for 20 years, now you look up 4 years into this over here at EXP, what has been the primary major differences right now? And where is your business for you and your wife today compared to where you were prior to coming here?
Well, we slowly disbanded our team, after being over here. I don't have that responsibility anymore. I'm building a team, but it's through EXP. So now I've got a team in 10 states and 4 countries. And there's a beauty in that. I don't have to think about them. I don't have to hire an assistant on a 2-week payroll, whatever kind of situation. I don't have to do any of that, but I override that team. And man, the power in that is awesome, and that's growing on a monthly basis right now. That's going to continue to grow. I'm excited about that. We're still doing, we did 42 deals last year, and we'll slowly, we could start pulling that back a little bit. We're right now, I'm kind of doing it more for the example than anything, I think. And just, I do want to get to a point where I've got, enough leads coming in where I could just start filtering those out to people that are joining me here at EXP, make sure they're getting their business up and running. I want to help everybody that comes in here to be successful in their real estate business. But again, I love the fact here that I think now I'm excited about it because I've at least got options, and just the thing is, like I said, the guy that had that post, nothing changes if nothing changes. I mean, there's 2 ways to make more money. Well, yeah, 2 ways to make more money in real estate right now: sell more homes or sell higher priced homes. And whatever, selling more homes, that's usually what most people end up doing. Well, the problem with that is it's more of everything. It's more late nights on the computer. It's more weekends away from the family doing open houses. It's more inspection headaches. It's more marketing cost. It's more mileage on the car. It's more of everything.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. That's how we've done it for years. Well, again, with this model, you've at least got some options in a few years. If I could refer some of that business out, but make more money than what I was making doing 50, 60, 100 deals a year, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
And now I can actually start living the life that I thought I could live when I built my team, because that didn't happen when I built my team. I built my team and I still had to work 4 days in the hotel in Disney World. I had my team at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm still tied to it, and it didn't free me up at all. And that's what happens. Most people, they get to a point, their business is big. I want to build a team, hire an assistant, bring on a transaction coordinator, maybe bring on a few buyer agents, whatever, all this kind of stuff. That's great. You can do that. You're still going to be working when you're on vacation. I'm just telling you, like, that doesn't change. That doesn't go away. You can get people to take over some of your business, but you're still going to be on the phone. You're still going to be cranking it out, and you're still probably going to be doing more deals than anybody on your team. There's I don't know. There's good and bad to all of it in that sense. And EXP isn't perfect, but I will tell you, I'm more excited now than I've ever been in my 20-year career.
Yeah, exactly.
I really am.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, because I was burnt out 10 years ago. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, I was just.
It's sort of like we're on a path now. We can see the future. You can be involved in this brokerage, and you literally can look out 3 years from now and have an idea of how much different your life is going to look because of all the different multiple ways we're getting paid. So, yeah, guys, I didn't want to take too much longer of your time, Jeff. I want to say congrats to you, man. 20 years of doing this. You've been successful almost since coming out of the gate. You're a plethora of information. And like Jeff said, we do a training every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central that's open to anybody and everybody. If you're catching this video and you'd like to mastermind, we get anywhere from 25 to 50 plus on there. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be talking about the shift in the marketplace. Feel free to come on. We've got veterans on there with 15, 20 years experience. Some are doing 10, 15, 20, 30, even $40 million in volume. We definitely can all learn from each other. So we love to mastermind. Appreciate your time getting on here with this, man. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I know you and I are connected every single week. So again, just thank you for your time. And I look forward to connecting with, we'll be doing interviews like this, you guys, every single week. I'm going to start posting more of these, talking to all different kinds of veterans in the industry, and just hoping that we can provide a lot of value to those of you out there, no matter what level of experience you're at. We're going to have all kinds of different agents on here. So thank you, Jeff, for all your time, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I'm going to wrap up and pull up my little 30-second video to wrap things up and just say thank you again. And everybody that might be viewing this, thank you for taking a few minutes.
Cool.
Hope this
Thanks,
added
Sean.
value. Thank you, buddy. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Yep.